self-employed person all my life. I was in the clothing business and I went from over a period of 35 odd years. I went from being a big market retailer, then manufacturing product locally, then manufacturing overseas, supplying major retailers, Myer, Target, all those. And then one day waking up thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. And I retired early. And all the time a lot of the time I was doing that, I was involved in a bit of share trading, a bit of buying options, orange juice, all that sort of stuff. And never really successful, but always had in my mind that if I put my mind to it, I might be okay one day. It was about around the time I retired, when I was still trading and not really successful. I had the usual tips, from the inside tips I'd get, and from people who worked in companies, and one with a health company that was going to go through the roof. And that process, it was hit and miss, usually miss. And in the end, I was holding on to positions that, because being in business, you don't like to fail. So having a share that's going down is a failure. So, that was how I thought. And I never wanted to sell. And every day I'd look at it and thinking it's going to bounce, and it never did. And there was one that eventually went broke. So I lost the lot. So I thought, this is no good. I'm going to have to find something else. And I'd been following one person in the Sun newspaper that had his tips. It was good. He'd tell you what to buy, but he'd never tell you when to sell. And other systems that looked okay, but when you look at it and try and work out how they work, they're just black boxes. You had no idea. And being in business, you become sceptical about what people do. Hear what you say, see what you do. And then one day, I can't remember when, but I came across ShareFinder, which was your system at the time. And I read it and I studied it, and you were local. The biggest challenge was to know when to sell, because you'd have a position that was making money, and once it had turned and started to go the other way, you thought, well, I'll just get back to where it was and I'll sell. But often it never happened. And even when it happened, you thought, it's back, it's going to keep going. And it was just this, trying to do it on your own through a gut feeling. The market sort of was working against you, and you thought, it's like he knows what I'm thinking, and the market does the opposite. So, and I could never work out how this is possible.
So relying on your own intuition.
Yeah, which I did in business. And I thought this must be another, and I couldn't get my head around. I thought, well, if this is a mechanical system and it was promoted as such, and it took the decision making out because it had been a research system, I thought, well, and I didn't know you at the time, but you sounded a pretty clever sort of bloke. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go. The challenge is to believe and trust in the system. I suffered the same that most people would suffer. When you're winning, it's fantastic, and you get greedy. And when you're losing, it's like, I don't even want to look at the prices today. I can't cope with it. And maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and it'll be a dream, or the prices will have increased. The biggest impediment is your brain. Even today, I still, if there's a winner, I'm sort of thinking I should be selling. And if there's a loser, I'm sort of getting anxious. But I'm overcoming that with your system. But at least now I can see beyond that. But I used to think, if you never sell, you haven't lost money. And of course you have lost money. And that's the thing. You need to sell to replace it with another opportunity that's going to give you, and if you've got an edge, it's going to give you probability that it's going to be positive. I sort of think myself, well, it's better to be the casino than it is the punter. And if this has got an edge, and a proven edge, and even though there's 1% that thinks, well, it's still only a probability, but still, that's how casinos work, and that's how casinos make their money. The margin of a casino is very small, and yet the more they turn over, the more they make. And it's taken a long time to sort of realise that small increments is what will make you money, not big wins. And in fact, casinos love big winners because they promote them. Look what you can do, but of course, the probability is it's not going to happen, winning a lottery.
Over a large sample.
Yeah, that's right.
That's correct,
exactly. The best benefit is it takes that uncertainty out of your head. If you've done your investment plan and you've decided that on the sell signal you'll sell at midday, then that's what you do. Buys and sells, same way. You don't have to think about it anymore, or look at the price, the variation minute by minute. When the clock chimes 12, you're out. It doesn't matter. Or you're in if it's a buy. I still don't like selling when it's a loss, and of course, but you're bound to do it because that's the plan, and you're relying on the edge. But it's great selling when you've got a big profit, because you're locking in profit, and thank goodness I might be able to buy this at a cheaper price. So look, it takes a while, as you say, to get that mindset to looking forward to selling a stock and getting into another one, because it's a new day with a new opportunity. Correct. I trade the US market and the ASX. I follow the investor system, which is a core satellite. I trade ETFs and I trade shares. In the States, I must say this is in a superannuation fund where I can't short, so I'm forced to only go long. I've always got the protection of selling, of having sell signals if the market collapses. The upside is unlimited. So yeah, the Australian one's been good for me. The US has been okay, it's been good. So I'd say, surprisingly, I'm making money. It's difficult to start someone else's system, but if they look elsewhere to what returns they can get and look at the risks in whatever they're doing, even property, there's risks in everything. The sort of thing about trading shares is you think, what if they go to nothing and I lose all my money? I'd say, well, you can't lose all your money because the system will get you out. Yes, you might lose 20, even 30% of your money, but if that happens, you're going to lose that money anyway, wherever you've got it. And if all companies go broke, you won't be there. You'll be out in cash. The economy collapses. Well, it collapses. Life is a risk. And in business, in all my years in business, I had to risk. Every day I was risking. I had to buy products that I thought would sell. And if they didn't sell, I used to dump them. So it's always a risk. Life is a risk. And when you think it's not a risk and you just put your money into safe assets, well, they're not safe, because if the markets collapse, everything collapses.
They are trying to be safe, but the biggest thing they're giving up is the loss of growth in their long-term investments.
That's right.
They're not taking enough risk.
And if you take a historical look at markets, even going back to the 1800s with the tulips in Amsterdam and that, I mean, nothing. It's never different. It's interesting because every disaster resolves itself at some point.
Yeah.
And if you can ride it through and...
Is it the Japanese or the Chinese word? I'm not sure, I can't remember, but that their word for a crisis is a dangerous opportunity.
Warren Buffett says when there's blood in the streets, time to buy. Probably the time to buy. Well, all I can say is that your product is fantastic. There's lots of other products around. A lot of products have the edge, but they don't have the education that you provide. That's hugely valuable. Yeah. The fact that for me, you're here, you're local to Melbourne. I can talk to you, I can talk to the principal. Usually you've got an email or phone, and then you sort of never sort of get to what you want. But throughout Australia, I can't imagine anyone else. With your education, you can actually, if you want to learn, there's a million books out there, but you seem to recommend the right books. Your own education is fantastic. In fact, there's lots of stuff that you keep sending out every week by email, which takes time to sort of look and digest, but it's there. It's all there. It's commendable what you've done, really.